Hello everybody, thank you for being with us this fine day. Today we're going to do a quick sketch of Pennywise the clown from the famous It movies. So if you have your pencils all set, we're going to put a vertical line to begin. We're going to put in an oval. You can make it larger on the top and smaller here and make it into an egg shape, and you will see that this will be a very easy exercise in drawing this particular character. Just give him those three lines for his eyes, nose and mouth, and then just to give a little bit of perspective, we will put in, as you know that he has that frilly costume, we'll put those rings around right now, and so we have somewhat of his shoulders and the frilly costume, and we have his head in place. Now that those elements are done, we're going to first put in the details for his face, and to begin, to put that little bend of skin there, and we're going to start off with the eyes. So we're doing a generic sketch. So I think it's pretty simple so far. Note that the area around the eyes is in certain media painted, not always though. He has these and please use very light strokes. We do not need to go all out while we are putting down a sketch. Then we will put in that round, more or less round nose, and I'm going to just put in some highlights there, suggesting that it is painted, where he has paint on it. Okay, I'm going to put in some crosshatch there around his eye, some crosshatch there to highlight that part of the nose, some crosshatch here just under that eye, because he has paint all over his mouth, so we would not want to compromise too much there. And then upper lip, done that way, and then lower lip to come in, have a drooping lower lip like that to start off, and then you're going to finish the inside edge of the lip like that. He has those huge teeth showing like that. I'm going to put in again some highlights similarly as I did here for the nose, because we are using a black and white medium in pencil. I'm going to use some crosshatch right here on these ends. and just a little bit here. So you could see that Pennywise's face is almost, his features inside of his face anyways are almost there. I would go with some crosshatch here, a little bit of crosshatch here, so details that highlight his cranium. That he has those eyebrows. You can make them as exaggerated as you wish or keep them down to earth, it's up to you. And then from there on, along the X shape, we are going to put in the rest of his face down, pointy chin, ears lining up around the eyes somewhere there. And then you keep going right along the top of the cranium here, come down a little bit, and as you have guessed, that will be his, now it's the fun part, that is his wild hair. So let's do the hair right after. I'm going to put in some crosshatch right here under him, so that I'm just depicting that there's a shadow falling on that fabric that he's wearing, and those are essentially frills all through. So I would recommend googling some images to see how these frills work out. You could make them as many as you wish, or you could make them less or more. After all, it is a practice that you're doing here. It's a sketch, so it might be worthwhile to keep the number of frills to a minimum, but they do add to a more striking image. So it's basically just folded fabric right around. Now if you're doing this very, very quickly, I would do this very light again, and one way of doing it is to increase the size of the frills that are under the top one. Or you could keep them the same. I think it is the same when it comes to the movie, but again, we are not necessarily adhering to all the principles that were followed in the movie. This is a quick sketch, and here we have his rather puffed up clown shoulders. So the easy way of doing that is to put some fabric folds like that, and then according to, just if you wish to put in some, and you should, some shading into the folds, you could highlight the folds that way, and then put a lighter crosshatch right along the fabric like that, smudge it out, and you'll see that it will just cast a shadow. You should have some shadow falling off the first line of folds right across. Again, it depends on what the source of light is. Won't go all through, but it will go that much. and right along each fold, depending on how much you depict in the fabric. I would, in the first exercise or initial exercise, recommend keeping it simple, because this is a design in which essentially the character's clothing requires more work than his facial features, which are dominantly white. I'm just going to smudge that out a little bit all through, and the similar exercise will follow here according to the now you could keep it to a minimum, or you could detail it as much as you wish, but I would not put in too many details into the folds. So lightly just go around and then make the shadows under the folds a little more intense. And we move to his hair, and one easy way of doing that is even so to finish off the hair. I think one easy exercise is keep it very simple. Now we could make this intricately. If you really zoom in and go into every hair, you could make it much more realistic. But to make the exercise easier, start from the inside out. Okay, so and then thin out here at the edges. Thinner, 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 thinner. So thicker here, the shading I'm talking about, and thinner as we go along. And then from the outside in, shade a bit back. So this, friends, is the crude but easier way of putting together Penny's hair. Of course, you can follow more conventional methods and make it as detailed as you wish, but if this is a sketch that spans a few minutes, then we do not necessarily need to go that route. So his hair stands, I think, thicker and more defined or more dense here. I think he has some wild proportions when it comes to the top here, and you could accordingly use that same method to shade from the opposite end and bring it in, but try to keep it as consistent as you can. For example, right here, have some strands like, you know, joining in, others not so much. You could even keep it uneven on the edges here, but try to bring some of that inside too. And then have certain areas thicker than others. So in that way you forego the exercise of having to go internally and shading every bit out, and you'll see that when I go from this side, the exercise is going to be much more quick, because at that time we were just going through the motion and also talking about it. And right here I'm just trying to hit it much faster so that you good folks can get back to your work. And there we are, almost done. And there we have it. Just going to even that out a little bit. And it's done. So a quick exercise in drawing Pennywise. Now, one more thing, if you wish to add highlights in spite of his white pale complexion, or sorry, the paint, you could go about and put in some crosshatch, experiment with it. It's only going to give a little more character to your artwork. For example, right here under the eyes, if I'm imagining there's some light falling on, he's illuminated in certain areas more than others. Right here around the bend in the skin, there's a little bit of that right around his brow, and some of it right here. So it all depends on what you wish to do with him, but that's an easy and quick Pennywise. Thank you very much for being with us. Please do subscribe and keep in touch. Have yourself a wonderful day.